And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show. As we're coming to you live on Wednesday night, but it lives forever and ever. And I see people kind of clicking on the past shows just to revisit, or maybe they haven't seen them. And our show, the Howard Eskin Show, is presented by a wonderful guy and a wonderful company, Stillwell Financial Advisors. Jeff Stillwell is the guy. He knows his stuff. You have wealth that you need invested. Regular guy, you will understand him. Even I understand him. And if you want to get a hold of Jeff, 732-343-0813. Also, thanks to our other sponsors, Piazza Property Pros, Audi of Westchester, and Cut the Cord with Jason, so you save a lot of money on your cable service. After we're done with a brilliant guy, I say brilliant, and I've heard him a lot of times, and I've spoken to him, Andrew Brandt. After Andrew, first of all, you got to listen, because we're going to give something away, and I'm going to ask a question with something that Andrew said. We're going to talk, there's a kind of off the track a little bit. I'm going to talk about one of the owners of one of the Philadelphia teams, the NBA, and show you why the Sixers don't win. And an egomaniac who's a fifth-round draft choice. We'll talk about him. But first, I want to tell you about some wonderful people, Piazza Property Pros. Now, they've just done a cleanup, landscaping for me, so now I've seen it firsthand. And I wouldn't use a company just because they advertise on this program. I use them because they're good. 25 years of experience, Piazza Property Pros, whether it's a new pool, whether it's renovation of your pool, whether it's excavation, landscaping, fencing, pool maintenance, you got it. Piazza Property Pros, exceptional results. Again, 25 years, and they don't subcontract. It's them. Here's a number, 610-566-2608, or check them out on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. Also, Audi of Westchester. Got a car last week, and it was a easy, wonderful experience. Got a Q5, and right now the Q8s are still $7,000 off of the Q8s in stock. No tariffs, not yet anyway, no tariffs, and you will experience a wonderful experience, pressure-free sales environment, and since Audi of Westchester is part of the Mainline Automotive Group, you'll have access to the largest selection of new and pre-owned Audi vehicles in the tri-state area. Stop by Audi Westchester, located 1421 Wilmington Pike, or check them out on the internet, AudiWestchester.com. That's AudiWestchester.com. And you want to save money on your cable. I know you do. Doesn't everybody? We all do. It gets out of hand. Cut the cord with Jason. It's pretty simple. It explains it. Jason offers an incredible service. He'll save you money. He'll come out to your house, cut the cable off, set you up with less expensive internet service, streaming services, which include all the local and national channels, all your Philly Pro games. And let's say you have a second home, no extra charge. Jason can set that up too. One monthly bill for both houses. For more information and to save yourself lots and lots of money, and a lot of people have called Jason for his services, 215-801-5858, 215-801-5858. All right, I want to welcome our guest now, and I could take probably 25 minutes just to go over his bio. 25 years of pro football. He's a contributor to the Monday Morning Quarterback. He's a professor, and he's the director of Morad Center Sports Law at Villanova University. And I guess I've missed some things. I know I may have missed some things, but Andrew will tell us. Welcome to Andrew Brandt. Andrew, did I miss anything? I'm sure I did.
Well, it's really good to be with you, Howard. I say I have a lot of jobs because I don't want to have a real one. That's always nice. But I've been fortunate, as you mentioned some of it. I've been around sports my entire life. Growing up, a little kid in Washington, D.C., big time, as they were called, Washington Redskin fan. And I just felt like maybe there's a way where I could combine my love of sports with a career. And back then, I'm old, there wasn't really this agent business or even a lot of people that besides scouts and coaches that work for teams. But somehow along the way, I was able to make it happen. And I've loved my life, a life with an agent for many years, moving to the team side, first with the Barcelona Dragons, then with the Green Bay Packers for 10 years. And then to bring you up to speed, after moving my wife to rural Wisconsin for 10 years, she got to pick her next spot, and that is Villanova, PA, where she's born and raised. So that's how we ended up back here. And so for the past 12 years, what I really wanted to do was sort of go behind the curtain and share with readers, viewers, podcast listeners, TV viewers, listeners, and students what really goes on in the world of sports, what goes on from a business point of view, what goes on from a legal point of view, what goes on behind what you see on TV with the games. And that's really been my charge these last 12 years. And I'm trying to do it in as many ways as possible.
Andrew, I know there's many more agents than there was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And for the people that you teach at Villanova, do you try to, do you try to make them aware that it's very competitive out there, or do these people just want to connect with some agency and then kind of develop their own skills? How do you approach that with your students?
I try to be very honest and maybe even disabuse them the notion that working as an agent is, for whatever word you want to use, sexy, cool, glamorous,
Right.
Because it's not. And I was in it and I got over the glamour of it at about 2 weeks, because then you're kind of just working for high profile clients that happen to be demanding. And listen, it's so hard. You just mentioned it. There is so much competition, and I see it every day. I even see it on the college side, where there are just so many people trying to get the ear of these players, their parents, their friends, their AAU coaches, their high school coaches. For what? For very low margins. On the pro side, you're limited to 3%, at least NFL, and that requires a lot of work. So when I see a young person, Howard, I'll do the role play real quick. I'll say, all right, you want to be an agent? All right, let's role play. I'm a player.
Yep.
Why should I sign with you? Why should I sign with you? And usually these young people are like, I got, I did number one in my class. And I'm like, no. Why should I sign with you as opposed to all these others? Because the players are going to look at, who do you have? What do you charge? What do those people say about you? And what have you done for, if I'm a nickel cornerback, what have you done for people like me? I don't care if you've done it for, like when at Villanova, when Jay Wright, he used to have me come in when the agents presented to the players, to Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Dante DiVincenzo. Right. And they'd all look at me and I'm like, wait a minute, guys, you just gave me your cookie cutter presentation. And you show Kevin Durant or you show LeBron. I'm like, we don't want to hear about those guys. What can you do for someone like this player? At that time, Jalen Brunson was going to be a second-round pick. What have you done for second-round picks? So you have to make it very specific when you're asking about agents.
All right. So now I'm not going to ask you about names. I'll use the term cutthroat, because agents go after other players that are already represented, which they're not supposed to. And then agents, and I know this has happened, they have so many players, and they have multiple players on one team, and they might tell a team, you take care of this guy, and I'm going to help you with this guy. That does happen, does it not?
It does. And I will speak honestly. No names, but if you're an agent that represents several players on a team, you're going to get better treatment. It's real. Howie Roseman will treat an agent that's got 4 players on the team better than he treats an agent who he doesn't deal with. You're going to keep coming around to the same agents. That does matter. And of course, your agents for your stars. In Green Bay, Bus Cook representing Brett Favre, yeah, he got treated better. You know, yeah, he could roam in the building where other agents couldn't. So it is reality.
Okay, who was the agent that was the? Um, I guess you can't dime him out. Was the biggest pain in the ass? Who was the toughest? I shouldn't say pain in the ass. Who was the toughest? And it was tough to do a contract with certain people.
Yeah, and these probably wouldn't be names that you would think of. It'd be more the kind of
Guys that don't have as many players, maybe.
yeah. I mean, I'm a lawyer, so you sometimes you get these lawyers that don't really get the whole sports thing, but they're brought in. And for people who know what redlining is, they redline every little word in the contract, and it's a grind, and it's not even about the money. I will say this: sometimes perception's different than reality. Let's talk about
Right.
maybe the elephant name in the room, Drew Rosenhaus. Drew Rosenhaus is feared by some, especially by his peers, maybe, but I found him pleasant as all get out to deal with. Because you know why, Howard? Because he's got so many guys. He's got
I
over
know.
100 players.
I
So when
know.
you have over 100 players, Drew's like, let's go, let's go. So what team people want is someone that's going to get deals done, not haggle and take months. And Drew is a deal doer. Drew gets deals done. Even when I was consulting with the Eagles, I did Deshaun Jackson with him. I did Sean McCoy with him. He gets things done. So he's a pleasure to deal with from the team point of view.
You know what? I know Drew, and I won't tell you what the story was that I put out there. Was
Yeah.
involved with an Eagles player, and he got really mad at me, and he just aired me out at a lobby in Atlanta when the Eagles were there.
Yeah.
And I said, wait a minute, I called you to get a comment. Now, you don't have to give me a comment, but at least return my call. And after that, he says, and he always does now, I will always return your call, because I saw him down at the University of Miami so much. He got a lot of
Yeah.
University of Miami players. But, but here's the other.
You know, the last thing on agents, Howard, I think what people don't realize about people like me and Howie Roseman is you got to cultivate those relationships. So you talked about a road trip when they're playing Atlanta. Every road trip, I had nothing to do. You know, I'm not in the meetings with the team.
Right.
So I would cultivate relationships. When I'd go to Atlanta, I'd meet an Atlanta agent. When I go
Yep.
to Detroit, I'd meet a Detroit agent, Chicago. And Howie does that well too. He cultivates this relationship because at those moments of truth, whether it's in the war room or whether it's free agency, you're going to need those relationships. You may not like it. When Ron Wolf brought me into Green Bay, because I don't like the agent influence, but I know it's there.
You know, I think that sports is when we opened this up, you said it's sports. You wanted to get into sports.
Yeah.
It's no longer sports. It's really just, it seems like it's all business now. And the
Yeah.
numbers are just crazy. It just, so to follow up with that question, how do the Eagles keep so many good players and manage the cap the way they do?
What's interesting, Howard, is I just noticed today, I'm a couple of days late on this, comments by Roger Goodell about, yeah, we got to tighten up the cap. And I think this was told to me by some local people that he called out the Eagles for doing some things that affect, quote unquote, integrity of the cap. Let me try to explain. What the Eagles do a lot of is these dummy years, void years. So what happens is you're allowed to prorate contracts. So if you have a $50 million bonus, it's $50 million cash, but it's $10 million a year on a 5-year deal, prorated cap. So again, 50 cash, 10 cap in year one. You spent 40 million more than cap on with cash. Eagles keep doing those kind of things. It takes an owner with obviously substantial resources and ability to do this. Then you get to year 4 of that contract. You got 2 years left. The player may not have more than 1 or 2 years in their career, but they'll give them money to satisfy them, and they'll add 3 years that aren't real years, and they're just doing it for the proration. So proration now becomes 5 years again, which is the maximum proration. Those 3 years are dummy years. We have an automatic void at the end of 2 years. So you will take the cap hit after those 2 years. That's a long-winded way of saying the Eagles are using every resource to push out. We're in a window now, as everyone knows. The Eagles have an extraordinary team, and they're using these cap maneuvers to push out the pain. The natural question is, will they have to pay the piper? Well, yes, but the cap will be rising. We have cap carryover now, year to year, and Howie trusts himself and his cap people to be prepared for that.
So what they're doing is they're pushing it down the road. At some point, are they going to get caught with all this money that they push down the road?
Yeah, they will, and again, they're prepared for that. In that, well, in 2027 we're taking this hit. In 2028 we're taking this hit, and I think you just have to be prepared and know what's coming down the pike. Back to Joe Banner's days, the Eagles have always been proactive with getting guys under contract early for the long term. Now the CBA doesn't even allow that. Before you played 3 years, we used to go to, Joe and them used to go to players after 2 years, maybe even after 1 year. But I think they're well prepared for that. No one knows what's going to happen, how high the cap will go, but they're looking at it. It's better to push out now at a 250 cap than when we know it's going to be a 280 cap in 2 years, or 290.
You know what? Do you see the money? I mean, your wide receivers. I mean, AJ Brown's making over $30 million a year. Does you see the money getting? I mean, the quarterbacks are crazy anyway, getting out of hand, and it's maybe 10 to 12 players, and then the other players got to just take what's left. Is that part of the way it works?
Well, I think cap management in general, when I was with the Packers, we had our priority positions, which is no surprise to people. Quarterback, of course, edge rusher, left tackle, shut down cornerback. The one thing that has changed is what you talked about, wide receiver. That's been an explosion in that market over the last 2 years, since Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams were traded and then re-signed a massive $26 to $28 million a year contracts. Now we've seen over and over again $20 million contracts for receivers. I think that market will sort of settle beyond the Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Not that making $25 million is bad, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of players get over 30. And then you have the positions that stagnate. Tight end hasn't moved. Guard hasn't moved. Linebacker hasn't moved. And running back, except for Saquon and McCaffrey, hasn't really moved. So it's different positions. The NFL is not every position is moving forward.
So have you seen other teams get, and I think you touched on it a little bit, angry at the Eagles the way they do it?
I don't know if angry is the right word. I think different philosophies are more. There are other teams that are more conservative. Obviously, a team like the Bengals, just more pay as you go. Not credit card spending. Deal with your cap and make your bed and live with it, rather than just keep pushing out the pain and hoping things will change down the road. I just think this has happened a lot. This is nothing new. Some teams have paid the piper. We're seeing it right now with the New Orleans Saints. But I think beyond all this, Howard, the key to spending and balancing your cap is young players. If you can get young players on fixed and reasonable rookie contracts to be performers for you, you're golden. Because like you said, you're going to, in the Eagles case, you're paying the two receivers, you're paying some offensive linemen, you're paying the quarterback. You have those two rookie corners that you're under cheap for 2 more years of contract control. You have some young defensive players beyond them under contract control at low numbers. That's how you balance it. Eagles do a good job of that.
You know what? The teams that either get to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl have trouble. The rosters change probably 15 to 18 players the next year. How did the Eagles do it, or how did teams do it if the Kansas City obviously couldn't keep on doing it? And I think it caught up with them in the last Super Bowl. Their offensive line just clearly wasn't good enough. Yeah. How do teams do that after you win a Super Bowl? How do you do it, and how have the Eagles attempted to do it?
Well, you see some losses, right? You see Sweat, you see Riddick, you see some losses. Williams, who went to New England at free
Yep.
agency, and you see replacements with young players. And so again, you're not paying retail prices anymore at 3 or 4 positions. That'll bring down your cost. You just have to draft and develop well. So, and sort of the easy answer of how you do it is you balance your cap with young players outperforming their contracts. I mean, the greatest value in the history of the Eagles was Jalen Hurts starting at quarterback and playing at a high level, making $3, $4, $5 million a year.
Yeah, right.
And they had that. So his peers are making 50 and he was making 3 or 4. That's extraordinary. That has obviously changed. And you're going to have to compensate somewhere. It seems like they've compensated with a young secondary. Now Slay's gone. So we're talking about ways that they're balancing. And this is not new. I mean, teams say we're going to load up here and we're going to play young here. I mean, that's kind of known by some people.
When you were with the Green Bay Packers, you signed Aaron Rodgers, I believe, to a contract, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was he difficult to sign, or is he just different now than he used to be? And he's clearly different now. I don't know.
Well, I'll say this. I signed him to his first two contracts, which were worlds apart from his recent contracts. But I will say the Aaron I knew was probably different than the Aaron everyone knows now. He was a young player. He was a backup player. We were managing a situation for the first 3 years where it was not easy. You know, Brett and Aaron were very different people. You had a Southern Mississippi, and then you had California cool. They were thrown into a room. Brett didn't want to sit next to his replacement. Aaron didn't want to be in a cold place where he wasn't going to play. So a lot of my job and others were managing that situation. What people don't realize about working for a team is it's not all about X's and O's and contracts.
Right.
It's about egos and insecurities and managing that. But Aaron was easy to deal with. I liked him. We all liked him. And then we saw those gifts that he had that would eventually show out to the world.
I thought he was at one time better than Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could do physically more things than Tom Brady. But, you know, you got to have the people around you too. But the thing with you weren't there when another quarterback was drafted. Yes or no? Were you gone from the Green Bay Packers at that time?
When what?
When the Packers selected in the draft a quarterback while Aaron Rodgers was there.
Oh, Jordan Love. No,
yeah.
No, I was gone. That was only a few years ago. Yeah.
Do you think he resented that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the deja vu, Howard, was amazing. I think it was 15 years to the day that we did it with Aaron. So Aaron knew the drill. I think he was probably more receptive to Jordan than Brett was to him.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be hard. You know, again, you're sitting there with your next every morning for 3 hours into meetings and then on the field next to your replacement. Anyone listening, think about that going to work every day and sitting next to the guy
right
that's going to replace you. But this is the circle of life in sports, every sport. You know, you go in, you go out.
Andrew Brandt is with us. Andrew, do you advise college players on the NIL? Did I see that somewhere that you advise college players? So the fact that you do or you don't?
Not the team. I mean, sorry, not the player side. So over the past few months, I've had schools come to me and say, please help us, you know, help us figure out this thing. Then we need more pro sports background than college sports background. So a former AD at Villanova, a guy named Josh Hurd, is now AD at Louisville.
Uh-huh.
So they brought me in. I'm a consultant for Louisville Athletics on all the NIL stuff, developing the contracts, negotiating with all these players, paying out $1 million contracts to these guys. It's quite a world out there in college sports.
Yeah, but you know, honestly, that's got to. I mean, it's not going to destroy college football or college basketball because it's too big. But it seems that it can't keep on going on like this, and the sport be the same and the way it was, because guys just care about money, and then they can transfer every year. It's a disgrace. How do you stop that? If you were commissioner of the world
Yeah.
in college sports, what would you do to stop that?
I wish I had an answer. I teach this in Villanova sports law every day, every week. Let me just explain it. I'm a lawyer. So if you're a lawyer and you go in front of a judge and you say, hey, judge, this chemistry major, this biology major, this music major, they can transfer anytime they want. And this music major can go out and play in the summers for the Philadelphia Philharmonic for $1 million a year. And the judge, and then the lawyers say, well, how come athletes can't do that? And the judge says, yeah, how come? So they have been 100% for the players, these judges. And we got this House settlement coming with a new cap and all kinds of rules that I'm advising on. But I'll tell you this, Howard, that does not deal with the transfer portal. I don't know how you fix that. The way you're going to fix that is collective bargaining and have what pro leagues have, which is multi-year contracts, a salary cap, rules. The problem is schools don't want collective bargaining because that means they're employees. And it's one thing to make football and basketball players employees, but if you're going to make field hockey and tennis and golf and all these people employees, then your costs are just going to be you can't afford it. You just can't afford it. So we've got a dilemma. I wish I had an answer.
I just don't know how you fix it. And I don't know how. I'm going to use Shedeur Sanders, who's out of control these days, but he's got to kind of tone it down a little bit. But here's a guy making $5 million. I think he made $5 million last year with Colorado. All right, the offensive lineman is protecting him, and he's not getting anywhere close. I'm protecting your ass, and how does it not create some animosity among players when he's getting all that money? And here's a guy, a left tackle or a right tackle, that's protecting him, and he needs a clean pocket from what based on scouting. How do you resolve those kind of situations?
I mean, that is why coaches. I talked to a college coach, and I'm like, "Geez, I'm sorry that you're dealing. I'm sorry you're dealing with free agency every year." And he pulls up right next to me, pulls his chair up, and says, "Andrew, I'm dealing with free agency every day." That lineman you're talking about may walk into that coach's office and say, "Yeah, I'm out." And that's what they got to deal with. And this was never anticipated, where free agency. And college football has not one but two transfer portals. So you could pay a guy in January, say $300,000 for the year. He sees the market go to $500,000. He comes back in the April transfer portal, says, "You better pay me $500,000. I'm going to another school." He didn't do anything for that money. He just sat there. So it's frustrating. I don't know the answer. I think
what I think. Bruce Pearl made this. Oh, we're going to have 14 teams in the NCAA tournament. That's because the SEC pays more than anybody else. Shouldn't there be, like the NFL, all these other pro teams list the salaries? Shouldn't they have to list what they pay players?
Yeah, the question is with who and how is it administered? Because what we're dealing with now is no players association. I guess I'm wondering as a lawyer, and I'm obviously looking into this, could we have a players association that's not a union? Have someone that is taking all this information, putting it out, serving everyone, including the public, but not a union. Because again, you say union, you say employees, they give you the, oh, no, we can't have that. So the only way maybe to fix this is to have some kind of collective bargaining that's not with employees, but with this players kind of trade association. So I think everyone is telling me this, wherever I go, Howard, they don't like it. It's not good for fans. It's not good for teams. It's not good for coaches, but it is good for players' bank accounts.
Yes, it is.
But these guys are going to 4 or 5 schools. I mean, it's like in 10 years, they're going to be like no alumni contact, no place to go back and say that was my school because they went to 4. I just don't like it.
Well, I have a question from one of the people that sent in a comment here. But before that, I, um, I just, I just don't understand how this can continue to exist the way it is, and nobody does anything about it because nobody can.
Yeah.
Nobody can do anything about it. Correct?
Well, Charlie Baker, the head of the NCAA, what their Hail Mary is Congress. If Congress passed a bill, would have an antitrust exemption, which would get rid of the lawsuits and basically say, we can do it. We can do what we want. So they're banking on, and this Trump administration is friendly to pro-business. So we'll see. Ted Cruz has a bill in front of him. We'll see if it gets that far.
All right. There's one question. There's a bunch of questions, but this one, I could care less about the tush push. I think it's the most ridiculous argument. It's too much time spending on this argument. Yeah. And years ago, and probably when you were with the Packers, you couldn't push a player from behind who had the football. Then apparently they took that rule out. And now that's what you're doing. You're pushing a player from behind who has the football. In favor of it or not in favor of it, the tush push?
I'm in favor of keeping it. I just think I'm a Packers fan still. I see my helmet 10 years. I don't like the fact that they put that forward. I think forget about what it is or isn't. Forget about the play. I don't think you ever put forward a rule that discriminates against a certain team. So the thing to me about the tush push is not that the Eagles can do it so well. It's that no one else can. How is that happening? How does any other team, is it just Jalen Hurts' legs? Like, what is it about? Why can't the Chiefs do it? Why can't these other teams do it?
Well, I think the Eagles, with Dickerson at one of the guard spots, and he's bigger than anybody else. Yeah. It's not about the center because Jason Kelce was lighter than Cam Jurgens.
Yeah.
So it's not about the center. I think Dickerson is a big part of that. He's so big and he's so strong. Yeah. And I don't know how many teams have that kind of player at the guard position.
So it was all politics, as you know, and Jeff Lee Lurie really, they were all prepared to back the commissioner about this safety thing. And Jeffrey Lurie sort of turned it on its head and said, safety, this is more safe. This does not have, I heard about it. He said, this does not have linear contact. There's no linear contact to this play. It's all under. It's all leverage.
Right.
And, they needed 24 to ban it. They got 22. They got close, but they left Lurie and Kelce, Kelce said, it's BS on this idea that I didn't like it. I liked it. It didn't hurt me.
Well, he said on his podcast he didn't care whether they kept it or not. So people change. All right, Andrew, I really appreciate it. But the one thing, I understand you played hockey. Did you play hockey?
No.
Okay. Okay, then I'm wrong. I thought I read that somewhere that you played hockey. I'm saying
tennis.
Where the hell would you have played hockey? A football guy playing hockey. Well, anyway, it's always very insightful, very, very, very insightful, and to try to explain it. And it's a business now. It's not sports. It's a business, and we all have to understand that. And it doesn't matter what it costs. You got to do it. Especially in pro college. I don't agree with that. Pros, I do. Andrew, I really appreciate your time and thank you very much. And good luck at Villanova. I will say this, just because the Pope graduated from Villanova, can you ask them not to raise tuitions again?
I don't think that's possible now that they got the Pope.
I know. Well, you know what? I say that. I got a doctorate from a school in Wilmington, Goldie Beacom College. And last year, and I was the commencement speaker, and I checked on them. They checked on me. Do you know their tuitions are under $15,000 a year, and they use some of their endowment money. Obviously, the state is a good state in Delaware to help them out.
Yeah.
But how can they do it? And they had 7 students in that graduating class from overseas.
Wow.
So I don't know how they do it. I feel bad for parents that can't afford it.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, you know how you could help? The players that are getting paid, they should pay taxes on their scholarship, because now that's a gift. That's a gift of a lot of money, and they should pay taxes on their scholarship. That's just me. That's just me.
I mean, listen, the 10 minutes after the Pope announced, we got a letter from Father Peter. Like, everyone's claiming ownership of the Pope, Chicago White Sox, whatever it is.
I know, it's great.
But it does help. I'm sure it helps.
I'm sure. Hey, Andrew, thank you very much. Have a great day, and I'm sure I'll talk to you sometime down the line.
All right, Howard.
It's always insightful, and I really, really do appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Happy to be with you. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Andrew Brandt. Sharp guy when it comes to all this stuff. Really, really, really sharp guy. It's a different perspective about all these things, and that's what it is. It's a different perspective. Now, I'm going to come up with a question at the end of the show on something Andrew said for your chance to win a Chickies and Pete's gift card. You had to listen. I told you before we started, you had to listen to Andrew Brandt. You can go back. I mean, the podcast is still up there. It will be up there forever. And you got to have your entry in by Friday, May 30th. I'll come up with a question. Listen, I'll come up with a question. And I'll announce the winner on my show Saturday. And by the way, Saturday, Irving Fryer is going to join us on Saturday. All right. I do want to acknowledge our fine presenter of this program, Stillwell Financial Advisors, Jeff Stillwell. He is the guy. He's the man. He's the man. He'll help you with your wealth. It's so easy to understand him. And that's a lot of times what money people don't understand. Jeff Stillwell, 732-343-0813. And I really do appreciate his being the person that presents the Howard Eskin Show. Also, I want to tell you about some of our other fine sponsors, and that would be Piazza Property Pros. They did some work on my grounds, and I was amazed. At how thorough and how well it was done. Now, if you got a pool, they can take care of that renovation. If you want a pool, they can take care of that. 25 years of experience. Piazza Property Pros, fencing, whatever it is, they are experts. And they don't subcontract. It's all their people, which is important. Great results. And within your budget, here's the number, 610-566-2608, or check them out on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. Also, I want to tell you about Audi Westchester. Great experience. And I went through the buying experience. Great experience at Audi of Westchester. And it's really pressure-free. It's fun. You have fun with the people. Get some snacks while you're there. Get a cup of coffee, whatever it is. Audi Westchester is part of the Mainline Automotive Group. So you will have access to the largest selection of new and pre-owned Audi vehicles in the tri-state area. Stop by Audi Westchester, 1421 Wilmington Pike, or check them out on the internet, AudiWestchester.com, AudiWestchester.com, and still $7,000 off any in-stock Q8s, so you get a nice deal there as well. And you want to save money. Everybody wants to save money, and you want to save money on your cable. And who doesn't? The cable just goes up. It seems like every month. Cut the cord with Jason. He offers an incredible service. A lot of people have given Jason a call, and you can too, and save money. Save money. He'll come out to your house, cut the cable off. He'll give you a less expensive internet service with streaming services, which include the local and national channels, all the Philadelphia Pro teams. And if you have a second home, that's part of it. It's all part of the same package. Jason will set you up one monthly TV bill for both houses. For more information, give Jason a call. You'll save lots of money. 215-801-5858, 215-801-5858. All right. There's some things that I do um, I do want to do. Um, all right, the Phillies. Phillies are playing well right now. They're not playing many good teams. I tell you, so many bad teams in baseball, but the other teams are going to play those people too. Um, so they're going to have to play tougher teams. But the owner, who's John Middleton, very philanthropic guy. He's very generous, helps a lot of people out. But he made a comment on a podcast with Ruben Amaro, Todd Zalecki, and Jim Salisbury. And as soon as I heard it, I took it the wrong way. I want you to hear the comment, and then I'll comment on it.
It's my legacy. Middleton. I mean, I've done other things in my life, but I think I think when I retire, when my time comes, 10 years from now, if anybody remembers me for anything, they're not going to be remembered for anything else. They'll remember me for this. So however well or not well I serve and function, that's going to be my legacy. So it is everything.
Here's what I'm going to say. That's the first time I heard an owner talk about a legacy, because the owner's responsibility is when you purchase a team, and I've heard no other owners say that. Jeffrey Lurie's just happy he won. He doesn't talk about a legacy. He's just excited because he won. He's excited for the fans because the fans are excited. When you purchase a team, your responsibility is to have that team win. And that's your responsibility, to have that team win. It's not about a legacy. It's about the fans. It's not, it's the responsibility of the owner to have that team win. It's the responsibility. It's the responsibility of the owner to have that team win. And here's another thing with baseball. If he really wanted, and I know he wants to win. I mean, he's that kind of guy. He wants to win. But the Mets went way over the luxury tax. There's no salary cap in baseball. The other sports have a salary cap. You can go over, but you got to pay dollar for dollar with a luxury tax. I think that's the way it works. You got to pay dollar for dollar. So he can spend whatever he wants. He's a billionaire. He can spend whatever he wants to win. And it's about the fans. John, I know you get involved in many charitable organizations. You do a lot of nice things, but I don't know that people want to hear about your legacy. They just want the team to win. It's not about your legacy. And I really had a problem with that. I don't know what your opinion is. I think we may have put out a link. If people want to join the program, we'll take a few people. If you want to join the program, there's a link. And if you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to put the camera on, and you can just talk to me. There's a couple of other things that I want to talk about. I've watched the NBA playoffs, not all of it. There's a lot of blowouts. But there was a comment made by Pascal Siakam, which he's so believable. The difference between the Indiana Pacers and I'll just say the 76ers is they are a team and they care about each other. I don't think the Sixers care about each other. I don't think Joel Embiid would take 3 shots if it was better for the team for somebody else to take shots. I don't think that's the case. Listen to Charles Barkley asked him a question last night on the TNT post-game show. Listen
no plays for you, and you end up, when you go crazy some games, do you ever say, man, if y'all ran a play for me every now and then, I could get 25 a night?
I mean, that's not who we are, man. At the end of the day, the team knows, coach knows, and that's the identity that we've had, since I've been here. One of the reasons I love playing here is just that, at the end of the day, it's just all about the team. And I'm always gonna fit in, man. I told him, just I'm here whenever you need me. I'm always ready. But it's all.
You know what? That's the whole, and he's believable. Do you think Joel Embiid would say that? Or if he says it, do you think he really believes it? They are really, really, really a team in the sense of the team. That's what it is. They're a team in the sense of the team. And Halliburton, I think the Sixers could have had him. Can you imagine that? Daryl Morey's such an idiot. He didn't want him because he wanted James Harden. This guy just doesn't turn the ball over. He didn't have any turnovers and scored over 30 points last night. And I think he had 15 assists and no turnovers. That's almost impossible. It is truly amazing. And then also, Shedeur Sanders. Do you believe this guy? I didn't want to show a picture of it because it was so unbelievably obnoxious. He already had a Rolls Royce and he got it Colorado. He got another Rolls Royce and he had it painted the Browns colors. And he has it delivered to training camp. Now, do you think the other players there really appreciate him as a teammate when he's trying to show off the way he's trying to show off? It's just it's unbelievable the way he's trying to show off. It's sickening. But whatever. I see some of the comments here, but in Shedeur Sanders, how can you root for this guy? And he's not as good as he thought he was, or some people said he was. I'm going to read some of the comments here too, not necessarily on him. I thought the same thing last night, and I don't know if he was talking about Siakam or he was talking. John Middleton happened within the last week, and that was Canal and Fred Shaughnessy. You're right, Howard. We won a World Series championship. There's no salary cap in baseball, and losing to the Mets sucks. Well, no question. This guy can't wait for the Knicks to lose. I think both teams are really good teams, and that's really whatever the case may be. Let me see if there's another comment here. Oh, well, I agree the Sixers are a joke. Well, we know they're a joke. And I appreciate your comments during the show. All right, here's the question. And this question, it's pretty simple. It's either a yes or a no answer. And submit your entries to my website, howardeskin.com, and the contact page with your answer. And there will be people that have the right answer. I was thinking of one thing, but I'm going to make it simple for you. I was thinking he mentioned one agent's name, but that's too hard to really kind of get involved with that. I'm not going to use that. Was Andrew Brandt, and remember, he worked for the Green Bay Packers, who submitted this change in the rules, and he did work for the Packers. Was Andrew Brandt in favor or not in favor of the tush push? And submit your answer and the correct answer, and many people will have the correct answer. We will select somebody at random to win the Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. And if you're not in the area, there's Chickies and Pete's actually all over the country. So there's all kinds of locations in the area, and they're all over the country. So you will win a Chickies and Pete's gift certificate, and we will mention the winner on Saturday on the show. And Irving Fryer will be our guest on Saturday, former Eagle and former other player, but Irving's turned into a real super guy. It just Embiid. Somebody wrote Embiid and Siakam. Who would I rather have? I'd rather have Siakam. Who would I rather have? I'd rather have Siakam. It really is when you think about it. it's a no-brainer. Siakam is a team player, and he does so many good things. All right, everybody, I appreciate you being part of the Howard Eskin Show. And if you missed it, you can catch it. It's always on social media. Subscribe. If you subscribe to YouTube, and you should subscribe to YouTube, you will be notified when it comes up. And it's really easy to find on most of the social media platforms, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. It's all over the place. So you can listen to it. Andrew Brandt, very, very interesting. And he explained how the Eagles can always find a way to beat the Cap. And he said there's some teams got a little annoyed, but they always find a way to beat the Cap. Again, thanks for being a part of the show. Thanks to Andrew Brandt, and thanks to you. And we will see you on Saturday. Have a great day, great night, whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you on Saturday.